Log in or something. What's going on here, son? This is good opportunity for training here.
All right, I'm off. Now this is on.
There you go. Test. Test. 1, 2,
That's
3.
down as low as it goes, right?
1, 2, 3.
And this is up all the way. So
Test.
we'll be able to hear.
But didn't it do that? Dong, dong, dong. You touch it, it goes mute on
there now.
Wayne, if you can hear us, give us a thumb up. That's good. That's good.
Did he, I just turned it on. Hey, Wayne, are you with us, sir? You see us?
I am with you. I can't see you, but I'm with you.
And that's a
Thank you.
benefit.
Hey, Melissa here.
All I
Hey,
see is the little agenda or whatever.
Yeah, that's going to be there until the meeting starts.
Can you ask Sonny to come here? Can you show me how to see everybody out here?
I've got to stop the screen sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I got it. I just saw it. Thank you so much. Okay, I believe we're about ready to start. If everybody can hear me, could you maybe give a thumbs up? All right, beautiful. Beautiful. So John and I are here at City Hall, and we welcome each one of you. It looks like we're still missing a few extra board members that I think are joining us, they said. So we'll just kind of drag for another minute or two. And while we're dragging, Melissa, condolences to your family for the loss of a family member. We're very sorry. We've said prayers for you.
Thank you, Jed. I appreciate that.
Well, we'll sure continue to say them. I know none of that's easy. And I guess I can go ahead and say a couple other things. I had a real nice quote for today's meeting. We're living in such crazy times when health is so critically guarded. And I hope everybody's staying healthy. But I thought of a quote from Henry Ford that I've had as a special one in my collection. It says, when everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. And that's a good thought for how we have to sometimes fight with life and the circumstances that surround us. So hopefully we can all continue to succeed and beat this disease and the characteristics of it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So since you quoted from Henry Ford, just let me say there's no time like the present to get a good deal on an F-150 with all the incentives going out there. Just thought I'd mention that. Speaking of Henry Ford, just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you so much, sir. That just makes my day right there. I love that. The ultimate salesman right there.
Well, no, just public service announcements also.
That's beautiful. I'm sure Mr. Holmes will be ready to go get one right after this meeting's over.
He's biting his tongue right now.
Yeah, I can see.
Is they don't have anything out there to buy. They're all sold out. So, you know, telling me they've been going up to Green Cove and getting some good deals.
Wow.
Hey, everybody, I'm late, but I'm here.
Welcome, Dana. Welcome, Mr. Browning. Okay, I think there's enough of us that we can go ahead and get started. And I've already done the roll call. Welcome to every one of you. We're supposed to also maybe have with us Mr. Kyle Kaufman from FDOT. Should be joining us here on the meeting, and we're glad to see everybody. Can I maybe have a motion to approve the minutes from July 8th, 2020?
Motion to approve.
All right, Mr. McLean, we got a motion. Can we have a second?
Hugh seconds.
All right, Hugh, thank you, sir. Didn't see you. Welcome, sir. All in favor, could you say aye or thumbs up?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, beautiful.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, then we will go ahead. I've already gave a little comment out, and I think John's got a little video. Are we ready for that, John?
I believe so. Sonny, are you ready? Give me a second to set it up. This is a video that was filmed at Palatka, and it's, I guess, sponsored by, who's the,
Tom Raw,
no, sponsored by
AOPA.
AOPA, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots and Owners and Pilots Association. Very nice video that nicely showcases Palatka, about a 3-minute video, if we could show it. This is the gentleman that does the Rusty Pilots and safety seminars, is interested in doing safety seminars out at the airport for us. He's a real pilot and a benefit to our airport. Okay, Sonny, if you could, please.
He's checking on the video, and why he's checking. I think that you all got hopefully an email about the hangarettes. Oh, there we go. Can you all hear? Don't hear any noise.
There's no sound that I can hear.
Okay, I think they're working on that. Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Got sound yet?
No, just one second. No sound.
I can talk to it from Sonny if you need to. I'll just talk to it. Nothing else.
So John, maybe we should just cut it.
Yeah, I'll just tell them a little bit about it. Well, sorry, folks, due to technical difficulty, we can't bring up the volume, but this is being filmed from Tom's
Dog
hangar.
doesn't want to go.
Say that again, John.
Hugh, what did you say?
I don't think the dog wanted to go. I think they crammed.
Oh. But this
He's
was filmed
going,
in
no,
Tom's.
please, no. What kind of plane is that? You got to upset him.
It's a Baron.
It's a Baron, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely
And,
airplane, John.
yeah, it really is. And at the end of this video, I don't know if we'll get to the end of the video, but it shows the Palatka airport entrance sign. And Tom's a real asset to our airport here. He's, like I said, he's a pilot's pilot. And
He rents a hangar from us and supports our airport.
That's
And
right.
this is active on AOPA.
yes,
Yeah, so it's a very wonderful asset to celebrate.
we'll put it on the website so everybody can pull
Is
it up
that-
later, hear the volume.
Judd,
Yes,
is that one of our hangars with that beautiful floor in it?
it is.
Yes.
That guy
It is,
painted
sir.
it himself? He had the floor done himself, John?
No, sir. The whole, that's the new T hangers we put in a number of years ago with the hydrolift doors and the LED lighting.
What?
Gives you a good idea how nice they light up.
Very beautiful, very
So-
beautiful.
Sonny, if we can, we might better skip on to something else.
That's
Sorry
a
about
good
the
looking
volume,
equipment
folks.
on that thing. Wow.
There it is. There we go. Tom's very nice about getting credit, to our airport.
Okay. I guess.
Okay.
All right, there we go. We're back now. So I want to thank each one of you for your patience. These Zoom meetings are not quite as nice as looking at each of us eye to eye. But I already gave some comments, and do we have any public comments? I don't think so. So we'll move on to the airport update and turn the meeting over to John for the business report. And I would like to add one thing, if I may, at this point, that we talked last month about hangar rents and about business report and how we're doing. And John's going to address that a little more detail, I think, this time. So, John, floor is yours, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sonny, if you could you bring up the PowerPoint slide? And I'll defer the discussion about the hangar rents until agenda item C.
See.
Oh, stand by, everybody. We just did. Yeah, if you can pull up the PowerPoint presentation. And while Sonny's pulling that up, I will tell you that some of these numbers are from October to June. The July figures, it takes a few days for City Hall to process financial figures once we give them to them at the beginning of the month. So some of these figures are July, but operationally we're not looking bad. It doesn't the loan payment is really what gets us every year. So hopefully that'll be done in 2023 and be in good stead. Okay, next slide, please, Sonny. These are takeoffs and landings. Very close to last year. Next slide, please. And even though last month, I think we were down by 9,000 gallons, we're kind of catching up. Our 100 low-let sales are strong. I think a lot of people are flying with COVID because you can't go to movies and stuff. Next slide, please. Our jet sales are down, but not as bad as it could be. And due to a reduction in the cost of fuel, and we did keep prices up a little bit higher than, frankly, I was surprised and pleased that we were able to keep prices up a little higher, even though the prices dropped that we paid, the cost dropped, we paid. And next slide, please. You'll see that the revenue is not bad. We're even a little bit ahead of last year, even though we sold fewer gallons. And next slide, please. And our rent revenue is looking pretty good compared to last year. And got some good news here in a little bit. Next slide, please. And this is operationally. My figures have us about 2,000 to the positive. It does not include, the grant funding and the city's match for projects and stuff like that. That's a different animal. Okay, next slide, please. And here's the payment we're looking at the end of the year. And then we've got these 3 more. And then that loan will be completely paid off. Next slide, please. Not much to say about it. I just want to keep everybody aware of the funding that we get. And next slide, please. And we'll probably talk about these in just a minute when we talk about the master plan update or the master conceptual plan. So this is virtually the same slide I showed last month. So nothing's changed. Everything's still in work. Next slide, please. And this bottom line is what I wanted to talk about. If everything works out this coming Friday, we will sign a lease for the old terminal building. And it's been kind of a challenge to get rented, but if everything works out this Friday, every piece of real estate we have for rent will be rented the first time since I've been here. We've come close in the past, but something would always fall through the cracks. But hopefully people are figuring out who we are. And we got a gentleman, I talked to him yesterday. He wants to sign a lease on Friday. We're just waiting for a background check to make sure that we're going to be all right in that regard. Next slide, please. Everybody's interested in knowing what the pandemic has done to our fuel sales. And there you see the gallonage. That doesn't tell you what you need to know. What it does is the profit since the pandemic started hurting us in March. And this year, our profit March to July is $36,851. $36,851. And last year at this time, we stood at $28,000. So anyway, profit-wise, we're ahead of last year. And again, I think that's got to do with how cheap fuel has become this year. And we had a strong first part of the year. So I was well pleased with that. About the credit card machine going down. That hurt us in October. But and the last issue is we do have an issue with some two retention ponds that were put in as part of the runway 1735 taxiway Charlie improvement project. It's provided a bird bath, and the location of the bird bath is not good. It is right next to the touchdown, the threshold for runway 17. So anytime birds come in from the west, with all the vegetation and stuff out to the west, there's quite a few birds out there. So I think there's a lot of bird activity coming in from the west. And when they come in from the west, they fly right over the threshold of runway 17. And if they come in high, they fly over the departure path of aircraft departing on runway 35. Andrew contacted a biologist that specializes in wildlife mitigation and had her come down late last week. And I just got her report about that. We've got to do something about this. And I might add, Andrew quickly sent the young lady down to help at no cost to the city. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah.
And Andrew and I and Matt Singletary will meet to come up with some type of mitigation, and we'll keep you informed on that. But just wanted everybody to be aware of the retention ponds. As nice as that departure end is now, we've got to do something about wildlife.
Beautiful.
And I'll save the next slide for when we start talking about hangar rigs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sonny.
John, thank you very much for your
that one.
report. I do appreciate it. I'd like to go around the room like we normally sit at the table and give everyone a chance to comment. And again, I guess you each see that Mr. Kaufman with FDOT is on with us. And thank you for all your help for our airport and for our city. We sure appreciate it, Kyle. Melissa, if we can start with you, maybe you have a comment on any of the stuff we've talked about or a question for John?
Yes, so my question is with respect to the birds being a hazard for that particular runway as it relates to the retention pond. Are there any special rules for water retention that airports are entitled to? I mean, it just kind of surprises me that that's not like planned for, I guess.
If I understand the advisory circular on this, there's a 48-hour requirement for water to be dissipated in a retention pond. There may be other rules, and that's what Andrew and Matt and I are going to meet about and talk about. And it's alluded to in the wildlife experts report. Talks about some of that stuff.
And the reason, I guess, Melissa, if I understood right, you said, why wasn't it planned ahead on? I think when we did the modifications to the end of the runway, we did not know that we'd be recreating another issue. Am I saying that correctly?
And there were retention ponds that existed, and I don't think we added much pervious, asphalt compared to what was there to begin with. So more to come on that.
And one of the causes is the water
Wet season.
Well, the wet season coupled with the water discharge from the water management recycle project. Is that correct?
I don't know if that water's making its way over
Oh, okay.
to there. No, I think we need to focus on just the retention ponds.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
Melissa,
I'm
you
just
are right.
surprised you would have retention
There is
ponds
a,
anywhere close
there is
to
a series of criteria applied to airport stormwater ponds. Again, Matt and I will come out and talk with John and look exactly what is installed, exactly what the intent is, and we'll come up with a solution.
Melissa, can you come back again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess I was just surprised that that wouldn't be, very much a part of water management processes and rules and, our planning processes. It would surprise me that they would, even allow a retention pond in an area such as that. So something I wouldn't have thought about, but, thank you for briefing us on that, and I look forward to more information.
Thank you, Melissa. Mr. Browning, you're up next, sir.
Okay, I've got 4 questions. Can I ask 4 questions?
Yes.
Okay. One is, or a statement, when we do the design on the hangars, if there's a way we can make those doors fold up, the way they are now, and those of you that are out there, if my neighbor is in his hangar, I cannot get in my hangar. As you know, I can't get my plane in and out. Same thing with me. If I got my doors open, they slide to some degree in front of the hangars on either side. I'd like to design them like I've seen in St. Augustine and other places. They open up, therefore you don't. Each hangar is independent. That's one thing.
Thank you.
And number 2, I was curious who we rented the old terminal to.
It's a gentleman by the name of Jeff Nations. He recently bought the old CDR building on the south side of the airport, and they're going to put a business in there. And he's got 5 small aircraft. I think he's relocating a business up here from the Caribbean, and he's got 5 small airplanes, and hopefully one day he'll buy a jet and maybe build a hangar, and we'll be interested in building a hangar over there by his building. But he's the new owner of the old CDR building.
Okay, John, did you have any more questions?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I have 2 more. I think that the loan payment that the city is making every year really should not be a part, it should be an addendum on our financials. In other words, I think we should study, it's kind of confusing to me as to really what the airport itself is making or losing, forgetting all the other. Just make a statement, and my next question will maybe sum it up. I would like to get, since this is a public entity, I would like to get a copy of the financials for the last at least 6 months. Maybe others would like them. And I'd like to be able to study the financials myself before we come to a meeting. Instead of a few slides, I'd like to really know what's going on. And are we making money at the airport? And I don't, the loan payment, the banks, the loan, the bank is going to get paid by the city no matter what we do. But I'd like a copy of the financials. Thank you. That's it.
So,
I can
Mr. Holmes,
speak to
do you
that.
want to speak? Go
Sure.
ahead, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, I have no problem. I actually had Logan put together a spreadsheet for me of year-to-date expenses and revenue so that I could take a look at it. It is public record, and on top of that, you're the airport advisory board, so I have no difficulty in providing that at all. Just as a sum, John, I'll tell you that the city pays the loan payments. And then in addition to that, the city supplements the money that the airport makes or generates to the tune of about $60,000 in order for the airport to break even. So not counting the loan payment or the debt service, which the city pays out of the general fund, we also contribute about $60,000 out of the general fund so that the airport can operate. But I'll provide you those details.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Holmes.
Thank you.
Okay, Wayne, you're up next, sir.
No questions at this point in time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you
Come
so
on, now,
much,
I
sir.
asked for it. You're not asking any. Come on, Wayne.
I will.
Okay. Dana, you're up next, please.
John asked all the questions, so I don't have any more either.
All right, thank you.
Pick it on me again.
Yes.
And Ken Johnson, are you with us? I didn't think so. So Hugh, you're up next, sir.
Oh, John covered all my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. You've done a very
Hey,
good
They're
job.
picking on me today. What did I do?
Well, that's all good. Well, thank you all very, very much. That's all good stuff.
I have a question.
Yes.
So my question is, it was sort of what Melissa asked, but I'm not sure that I heard the answer. I don't understand exactly why the design criteria for the retention pond wasn't taken into account when it was created, expanded, or whatever was done to it. In other words, I understand now that the FAA recommends that stormwater management systems located in proximity to airports basically have no more than a 48-hour retention period of water. So does ours comply with that requirement now?
No, water's standing in it and has been for quite a while.
Well, why? I mean, was that retention pond recently modified, increased, improved, or installed?
Yes,
Yeah,
Don, it was. And I
Go ahead.
just want to add this. That's what Matt and I are going to come out and verify a few things on the install. But there's no way that a dry retention pond is going to be dry and drain in 48 hours when it continuously gets rain. So every time it rains, it goes back through its cycle. If it hasn't drained out over a 48-hour period, there's still going to be water when the new rain comes. And that's also dependent on the water table in the area, which also fluctuates. Those are all things that Singletary and I will be checking.
Sure. Well, I totally understand that when it rains again, it's got water again. That's not something I was questioning. But my question is it designed in accord with the standard that, assuming that you have a rain event and you don't have rain for 48 hours, is that retention pond designed so that it would be dry after 48 hours from the last rain?
Yes, that is the intent of the permit and what Pass Road permitted, yes.
Thanks. That's my only question.
Okay, and also, Mr. Holmes, also, I think that excess amount of water that we have dumped on the field 24 hours a day or whatever that schedule is, aids to our saturation level quite a bit. And I don't know whether that ever changes. But
I never thought about that water percolating down on the west end of the field. The water percolating down on the west end of the field as a result of the spray field. I guess it could possibly affect the water percolating down through the.
And it keeps ponds all the time wet. So we always have wetland. Every time I've been out there, there's always plenty of wet surfaces that are 2 to 3 inches deep out there in the out behind Water Management District because of those spray ponds.
That certainly is something we need to look at. What the spray.
Judge, that's something else we would look into. Any impact to the groundwater table of that entire same area. Yeah.
And then I think underneath all that, Andrew, is a lot of lime that probably locks it in rather than lets it percolate because of being an old airfield. But that's just from my looking. Okay, is there any other comments at this point?
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask one.
Yes. Yes, sir, Mr. Browning.
Every time I've been out there, they're spraying water. The retention pond, I believe, was built properly. I don't know whether that's city water that they're finding a place to put, but I think we ought to look at maybe moving or changing the amount of water, that's going on that surface. Like you said, all that area out there is had either pavement or rock on it for years, and it just doesn't perk. And it all runs, if you go down there, it runs right in the pond. So you want to know where all the water's coming from. There is a lot of water sprayed. I'm sure you've seen it if you're out at the airport. It looks like every day, but we ought to check it out.
Wastewater. There's a new spray field that's being, as I understand, being built out at the wastewater treatment plant, that when it goes into effect, I think we will stop spraying water in that area of the airport.
Wow.
Mr. Holmes, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, of course, the whole idea of the spray fields is in order for our plant to continue to operate with a zero river discharge. The spray fields allow us to do that. No one has mentioned to me, of course, I haven't been in this position long enough so that maybe they should have, but no one has mentioned to me an issue about the amount of water being sprayed on the airport. But it is true that we are going to have about 200 acres of spray field, plus or minus, in the immediate vicinity of the wastewater treatment plant that'll be opening up pursuant to one of the projects that we've recently embarked on. I don't know how that will impact the amount of water that goes to the airport. I didn't know that was an issue, but I'll find out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Those are good points.
Thanks very much.
Very good. All right, thank you.
I did want to address one question with John Brown. You asked about the doors on the new hangars, and the new plans are going to call for those nice hydrolift doors.
Right, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Thank
they
you.
are.
Very
They're
good.
awesome.
Okay, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Andrew for point B. And we've talked, Mr. Holmes brought up our conceptual master plan last month, excuse me. And today I think we have a historical view of what we've done in this planning master plan. And then we'll continue next meeting with the future view or more of it. So Andrew, can I turn it over to you, please? We're not hearing you, Andrew.
Andrew's muted.
Andrew, are you muted?
He's asking us to wait just a minute.
See, I can't see him.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, so I went back, me and Matt Singletary, and just prepared little historical references and current references to how the current capital improvement programs and master planning documents all come together. I thought we'd go through these 8 pages here right now, and then also keep an item on the agenda for next month to talk about creating a new, perhaps a top 10 wish list of new initiatives. Many of you recall we did that almost 2 years ago now, and put together a top 10 list, which you have been progressing very well on. So let me just go through these 8 pages. The first one here, this is actually a copy of the letter from the FAA approving your most recent airport master plan. You see it's dated December 28th, 2012. That is the FAA and similar time frame for the FDOT's approval of the main master plan document for the airport. So I'm just using that as our starting point. So that's page 1. Page 2, simply the signature page. Okay, page 3. This is a copy of a technical drawing from that airport master plan. If you ever want to take a really good look at it, you can print it out 11 by 17, or we can give you a 24 by 36 if you wish, but you've all seen this before. This is the single sheet, which is the master technical drawing for the airport. And this is the actual sheet from the year 2012.
Can you make sure that,
I'm not seeing what you're referring to right now on my screen. Maybe the rest of you are.
No, I'm not either.
You're not.
Nope.
Yeah, we still
You're
got
not
the
seeing
first
any of
letter up.
these pages?
we still have the memorandum up, Andrew?
Okay. How about now?
Yes.
That's better.
But we don't have the drawing. We got the letter up. You may have to scroll down to get
Sorry
to
about
the
that.
drawing. That's all right. That's the world we live in now with Zoom.
You see that okay?
Yes, we're on the letter.
Okay, so there's the FA's letter back from 2012.
There we go.
There's our drawing.
There we go. So that's a copy of the airport layout plan, the master development sheet back in 2012. It's something that, even though it creates the actual picture and graphic back then, it does get revised over time. This is the new version that we revised in 2019. We showed the fact that runway 1230 no longer exists and made other modifications and added the new T hangars and things like that to just revise it and keep it current. It's not really an update to the master planning document or things like that. It's just to make sure that the master drawing with the FAA is current about the current status of the facilities on the airport. So that's actually your current ALP right now. And again, if anybody wants a larger version, let us know. We'll get you 24 by 36. But that's the master development plan graphic for the airport. So each year, airport staff meet with Florida DOT and the FAA, and they review the Joint Airport Capital Improvement Program. This is a page from that joint CIP with the FAA and DOT. And what we've done is we've color coded it so you can see that green projects are projects that are being funded primarily by the Florida DOT. Yellow projects are projects that are going to be funded by the FDOT and the FAA. And red projects, or pink, don't have any funding allocated. So even though the CIP is submitted to the FAA and the DOT, not everything that you submit gets funded. And this is really the main document that we review with the FAA and DOT each year, talk about what funding is available. No airport ever gets everything that they wish and request on the CIP, but this is pretty accurate. You know, you've got the taxiway A and B lighting project right there at the top, which we're moving forward with. Second project you can see there in green is installing T hangars. You know that some of those things are underway right now and looking to implement in 2021. Next project is in pink is the fuel farm emergency generator. There is no funding identified for that project. We put that on there as a wish list project because there have been a few times over the past few years that the Central Office of Aviation for Florida DOT has had some additional money and been funding some generators throughout the state. So we wanted to make sure that you'd be in line for that if that funding became available. And then the new project on the bottom list there is the new hangar lighting. We pulled $100,000 out of the T hangar project to do a specific hangar lighting project to light up the balance of the T hangars on the airport separately from the funding for the new T hangars next year. The next two projects after that, constructing new hangars in the Southwest Terminal area, the aircraft wash rack. There is no funding identified for those. We put in a pretty large request in 2022 and 2023, but that's not funded. The DOT has limited availability and they did not fund those projects. And then going down further to the bottom, the new airport entrance. That's where we bought the land off of Route 100. That is funding for a new entrance road coming in 2023 and 2024. There is another new hangar project in 2024. So we'll do a project in 2021 and 2022. And 2 years later, there'll be another new hangar. And then we've got a wildlife hazard assessment, similar to what John has been talking about, birds on the airport. The airport does have birds. It's got turkeys, it's got hogs and things like that. We're going to hire, we would assume, the same wildlife expert that came on and met with John last week, actually come in and do a study of the airport and assess any wildlife hazards and give the city a recommendation program to try and minimize wildlife hazards on the airport. Project after that is runway 9 obstruction, tree removal, wetland mitigation, and permitting. We know that the trees on both ends of 927 will always be growing up and harassing us. So we've got to make sure that we have tree removal, wetland mitigation, and permitting in the CIP constantly. Same thing, acquiring land in the RPZ. When land becomes available and the airport has the opportunity to purchase it, you should. The next project is wildlife fencing and trenching. That's actually a wildlife mitigation technique. There are areas on the west end of the runway where wildlife is actually burrowing under the new security fence, and we want to make it so that that can't happen in the more wild areas of the airport that we really can't see all the time. There's another airport master plan update proposed in 2025. That would be approximately 13 years since you did your last airport master plan. So you can take a whole new fresh look at the entire airport in 2025. Project after that is taxiway B and the fueling apron. It's the last piece of pavement that really needs rehab on the airfield. That's slated for 2025. And then in 2026, in the outer years, it's again the ability to look at the extension of 927 to the west, both the environmental and possibly an implementation project. That has come up in discussion many times over the years, but there is no aircraft today that requires that additional runway length. So we don't have the ability to extend the runway yet or justify to Florida DOT or the FAA that the runway extension is needed. But it's sitting out there 6 years from now. Something could change in the next 6 years.
Andrew, let me throw something in here before you move on to the next slide. I just drove out the Hall Road 2 days ago, and I was very pleased not to see any signs of hogs or burrowing with the new fence. And I know that
Good.
needs to happen in the future, but I was impressed. I want everybody to think we've got lions and tigers and bears out there. They look very good to me.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, this next
Hello.
sheet, you may remember this back from 2018. We had a little strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats session right
Right.
there at one meeting of the airport board. And we developed a top 10 list of initiatives and prioritized them. And you've been making really good progress. I mean, really, number one, developing T hangars, you've been doing it. We talked about the Customs and Border Protection facility, finding new tenants for the airport, releasing land, marketing the airport, getting a new central access road, new commercial development. So all those things have either been set to the side or you've made progress on them. And what I'm proposing next month is that we start with a white paper again and develop this top 10, just like we did back in 2018. But this is the last one you created, and it's been a little bit of a guide on the CIP. So let's do it again next month. And then finally, this is the summary sheet of the drawings that we gave you last month. You're one of the only airports we work with that has a specific set of drawings focused on revenue production. So all these projects are revenue producing projects, putting people to work, making money for the airport. Notice that it's not about runway and taxiway development on the airport. Runway 927, 1735, and the taxiways, they are not a part of this development. This is all about making money and putting people to work. So I think that's going to remain high in your wish list. And again, all these are good documents to review so we can have a little strategy session a month from now.
Thank you, Andrew. That's an excellent presentation. I'd like to go around the room again if we, oh, are you done, Andrew?
I am. That's page 8 of 8, Judd. Before I won't even turn off the screen share until we do some Q&A.
Okay, so Melissa, you're up. If we could maybe go around like we did last time and each have an opportunity to make a comment or a question.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the overview, Andrew. I don't really have any questions right now.
Thank you. Mr. Browning? John, are you with us? All right, maybe he'll come back in a minute. Mr. McLean, are you with us?
I am. Two comments. Number one, when we do a planning session, Mr. Chairman, obviously we've got to allow for more than just an hour. And I'm assuming we would have a facilitator, be for somebody, Pacero somewhere, to facilitate this planning session. And number two, let me just drop this in here. I was going to wait and bring it up later, but let me bring it up now. We had talked some length at our last meeting about the maintenance of hangars and so forth. I just want to make sure that that gets included in our master plan. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Dana, you're next, please.
I don't have anything further. Thank you.
Okay, and Hugh, you're next, sir. Hugh, are you with us? Mr. Browning, are you back? Okay, well, thank you all very, very much. And Andrew, that's a beautiful presentation. Mr. Holmes, you're the boss. Do you have anything, sir?
I'm the least important on the call, but I would like to know if a copy of this is available or if the electronic version can be provided to me. I'd like to study it a little bit. It's, you know, looking at it, you, especially Andrew, and maybe you also, Judd, are, you know, more familiar with it because you've been, I'm sure, looking at it for some time in the past, but just to look at it for 5 minutes, it really is hard to digest. So I'd just like to have a copy that I could maybe take a look at and maybe.
Absolutely. We'll make sure that that happens. All right. Thank you very much. I think the next one is C, and we're down to 14 minutes. And so on our last meeting, we went around the table and talked about a price increase if needed to help supplement the maybe the $60,000 that the airport is funded by the city coffers. But we were very concerned about being competitive and not hurting our sales or our tenants, not losing business. And I'd like to go around the table again the same way. John Ewell has a comment first, please.
Yeah, if I could, Sonny, could I ask you to throw up the last slide on the PowerPoint presentation, if you can pull that back up. And anyway, the last meeting, I think the board's indication was not to possibly recommend an increase in rent, but also you can kind of levy the charge on me to you know, improve the appearance of the hangars. As you know, we're operating in a deficit, so you kind of painted me in a corner by asking me to spend money to, you know, improve hangars, but not increase hangar rent. I'm just going to ask you to keep that in mind as we talk about this and look at the figures from, you know, other airports.
So if I can analyze real fast what John did, you see at the average of our local community on the T hangars, we're low. On the commercial hangars, we're high. So, you know, maybe, you know, again, the board needs to make a recommendation to Mr. Holmes and the city commissioners, and maybe we can have that kind of in our mindset. And Melissa, if we can open the floor to you, and then we'll go around the room the same way we have been doing.
Listen, it needs to be unmuted.
Melissa, are you with us?
I'm sorry, I didn't successfully unmute myself. My question would be, do our surrounding airports, are they fully subscribed? Do they have waiting lists? You know, what kind of competition is there for these spaces? I see St. Augustine, you know, appears to be very high. You know, it appears to me that maybe the average is thrown off by them being included, but there still is potentially some room for us to increase. And I would just note that, you know, Palatka has got such a great location, so centrally located, that I think we have a lot going for us that perhaps other people don't. So those would be my comments.
And along those lines, Melissa, did some research and found out that we've only got, I think it's less than 25% of Putnam County residents are renting our hangars. Most of our hangar renters come from Fleming Island, St. Augustine, and Gainesville, and parts outside the county.
And Melissa, that's a very good point, because if you took St. Augustine out of the mix, because they really aren't like us at all, and just did Palatka, Keystone, and Flagler, that average, I don't know what it would be, but it would drop radically.
Well, these two numbers do not include St. Augustine, and I did not average St. Augustine because of what you brought up. I didn't factor that $700 into our most expensive hangars. So these are averages from Keystone, Flagler. Well, that one does include St. Augustine.
Yeah, so
because it was somewhat in the ballpark of 375. So that does drive that number up a little bit. Quite a bit.
So to interrupt, can I ask, I must have missed the explanation. You've got 3 rows of numbers, 3 rows under Palatka. What's the 213, 251, and 3?
Yeah, the 213 are our cheapest hangars. We got one row that was built back in 1941. No, I'm kidding. I don't know when they were built, about the 70s. 10 hangars are oldest. They're our most economical. And then we've got some middle of the road hangars that were built slightly after that. And then these are our most expensive hangars. They're the ones that have the hydrolift doors and the LED lighting that we saw in the video earlier.
Are the $330 a month hangars, do they have the same capacity as the $213 a month hangars as far as the number of airplanes, size?
These are all within about 100 square feet of each other. Yes, they are very similar in size.
And how many do we have of these? How many at 213, 251, and 330?
What do you got? 8. I think, Andrew, how many did we build the last time? It's one row. It's the closest
John,
row
I don't know that on top of my head. I would have thought 12.
I can do it in my head. I think it's 10 or so.
10 or so at 213?
At 30. There's 10 at there's 10 at 213, and then 10 at 330.
And how many at 251?
It may be 8. Was it 64, 54, about 40, 44?
44 at 251.
Mm-hmm.
So the vast majority of our hangars are at 251.
Are here. Yes. Yes.
And then we got as many at 330 as we have at 213.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Browning, you're up next, please, sir.
Okay, a couple of things. One, I'm going to send you my bill here, and I don't see that here. So a wee bit higher than you've shown, but I'll send you the bill. No use doing it here. The second thing is that to compare Flagler or St. Augustine to Palatka would tell me that, St. Augustine is a commercial airport now. It's just a beautiful place, very busy. It's just not the same animal. Flagler also has jet hangars, a lot of amenities that we don't have, including a very nice restaurant on the airport. They've got commercial and business backed up to it on the airport. It's just a complete different animal. So I'd say to you that the numbers, it's very difficult for me to compare those. Secondly, I would like to look at the financials, because just like this is kind of confusing to really see what we're getting. And the last thing I'm going to say is that I understood that we had a waiting list for hangars. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then why?
About 75 people.
Wait a minute. We have 75 people on a waiting list. Is it not true that the people that are down there doing the flight school were just offered a hangar yesterday or the day before because a hangar came empty. And I don't think, I already know the answer. I don't think we should do that. I think if a person has been on the waiting list for a year or 6 months or 8 months, we should not skip and go to somebody new that just came on the airport. I think that I'd like to see how many of those are real numbers. We should call every one of them because I got a feeling people that put it in a year ago or 2 years ago may not even need a hangar now. So I don't think we should skip. I think it should stay in order. And I don't want to recommend anything till I see the financials. That's it.
Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Browning. I like that very much too. Mr. Holmes, were you speaking?
I was not.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's see. Wayne, you're up next, please, sir.
Okay, so a little different approach from my end. So if John, along with our city manager and a financial officer at the city, do their analysis and feel that an adjustment is supported on the hangar rentals, bring it to us, bring it to the advisory committee where we can advise to the city commission once staff has done their work on it. That's just my suggestion. The second thing I want to mention once again, which unfortunately I get things in my mind, I can't let go of them, is the maintenance on our hangars. I mean, somehow we've got to figure that into our budget because they're looking pretty bad in some cases. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. McLean.
Hey, to address that real quick, Wayne, my plan is, and my recommendation is, Mr. Holmes is going to be to allow us to purchase a hydraulic lift so that we can get to painting on the hangars and get to dealing with the rust. In the past, we've been relying on the lift from the city, but I think the airport needs its own lift. And I'll talk about that with you in a little bit, Mr. Holmes.
Okay, thank you. Dana, you're up next, please.
Thank you. My only issue is I just really have a hard time with comparing something that I now understand as apples and oranges. I'd really like to see the comparisons for airports more like us, even though I understand we're in competition with those around us, and that's why Keystone makes sense. But I would still like to see the pricing of more airports like us, just to see those numbers in a better comparison. And I like Wayne's idea of staff reviewing the financing. I agree.
All right. Thank you very much, Dana. Hugh, are you with us, sir? Hugh, are you with us? Okay, well, we're down to 4 minutes. So I think,
Unmute me.
oh, go ahead, Hugh.
I was going to say, I've done a little calling around because I have a relative who's looking constantly for a new hangar for his aircraft. The demand in this area is just out of sight. At every airport I've been to or talked to, everyone has a huge waiting list. That's why I keep talking about build the hangars and they will come. Other than that, most of my concerns were covered by John Browning. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I appreciate everybody's input, and I think we probably need to bring this back up at the next meeting since we're down to 3 minutes and consider, whether we should go up, and maybe we'll have all the financials by our next meeting and we can all have that pre-studied, and then we'll discuss this hangar rent one more time if that's good with everybody. Can this go off the screen, Sonny, please? Okay, thank you. All right, so is there anything else we need to talk about before we dismiss?
Mr. Chairman, Wayne here. So I'm sorry, maybe I didn't catch it, but what did we try to do? What did we decide to do with our strategic planning? Are we just going to go an hour next month? Are we going to set aside a different time? What is the suggestion?
Do we have time the first Wednesday of next month to do more than an hour and maybe start earlier so we don't interrupt everybody's lunch. Well, I guess we already are. Maybe we just go later, huh? If that's good. Melissa, are you good with that? To do an hour and a half next time?
What's the date?
Let me pull up my calendar. I'm sorry.
Anybody got a calendar handy?
I do. That would be September the 3rd. No, September the 2nd. September 2nd.
September 2nd.
I could go later. I don't think I could go earlier.
Okay, so maybe an hour and a half, the September the 2nd. Wayne, John Browning, is that good with you?
Sure, yeah.
All right, Wayne, is that good with you?
Well, it is, but again, are we going to dedicate this time though to our strategic planning and nothing else? Question.
1 hour of the hour and a half,
Okay,
if that's good with you.
okay,
All right,
I'm
Dave?
fine.
Dana, is that good with you?
Judd, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Could we get kind of an outline? I'm all for the time, and I think Wayne makes a good point. I'd like to get an outline ahead of time, what we're going to try to accomplish and what information we may need ahead of time rather than getting it piecemeal during a meeting. I'd just like to see the big picture. What are we trying to do? And then I think we can probably do it. So I'm not against it. I just not sure I'm prepared today to make many decisions, even if we had 2 hours, but that's just me.
All right, thank you. And I'm sure
A
Andrew,
little bit.
go ahead, Andrew.
I can prepare a simple 1-page preparation worksheet before the meeting to just give to everybody, so it'll really help you organize your thoughts before you get there. And then when we're at the meeting, we're talking about the results of the questionnaire as opposed to creating it as we go. So I can prepare something I think that would be very, very beneficial. So we're making a lot of progress on coming to the conclusions at the meeting as opposed to working with a blank sheet of paper.
Thank you. That'd be very wonderful, Andrew. Hugh, are you with us on that? Is that good with you?
Sounds fine to me.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before that, I thought of an idea. What would everybody think about trying to find a facility big enough that we can all meet face to face for the analysis and strengths?
Mr. McLean says no.
Oh, okay.
No, not for this old man.
Do it Zoom? Okay.
So we will do that. Thank you very, very much. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right, do we have a second?
Second, Drew.
All right, all in favor say aye. We'll see you on September, and everybody be safe, please, and thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.